In Myanmar, a key ethnic rebel group says it's ready for talks with the military government to end more than a year of renewed fighting that has ravaged the border area with China. The Ta'ang National Liberation Army, or TNLA, is part of two other allied rebel groups that launched an offensive against the military more than a year ago. The TNLA says while it's ready for talks, they reserve the right to defend themselves and will not cede territory. In September, Myanmar's military government made an unprecedented offer for talks, a bid that was dismissed then by the rebel groups. Now, analysts believe Beijing is pressuring the TNLA and its allies to halt their operations. China is a major ally and arms supplier to Myanmar's military government, but also maintains ties with ethnic armed groups battling for autonomy near its border. It has repeatedly called for fighting to stop in the northern Shan state, a key link in its trillion-dollar Belt and Road initiative. The latest development comes amid reports that Rohingya armed groups are recruiting refugees from Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh to fight alongside the Myanmar military against other rebel groups. And for more, Damien Kingsbury joins us live from Melbourne. He's the Emeritus Professor at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at Deakin University. Now, Professor, militant recruitment and violence has escalated at Cox's Bazar refugee camp. Why is that, and what's driving this?
Well, we have a situation where Rakhine State is now controlled by the Arakan Army, almost 96, 97, 98%. And the military is becoming increasingly desperate, so they're trying to recruit, often forcibly, from amongst the Rohingya population.
Well, it's estimated as well that some 5,000 fighters have been recruited. What kind of impact could Rohingya refugees joining in the fight then have on the ongoing conflict in Myanmar?
Well, there are a couple of issues with this, first of which is that it divides the population within Rakhine State. And the problem of that is, of course, that the Rohingya are already marginalised and isolated, so this puts them in a more problematic position. The Rohingya who have been press-ganged effectively, kidnapped in many cases, are being used as frontline soldiers, essentially as shields for the Myanmar military, the Tatmadaw.
Now, you mentioned earlier as well that the military government might want to work with the Rohingya, possibly out of desperation, but why would the Rohingya fight alongside the Myanmar military? What's in it for them?
Well, they're being told that if they don't fight alongside, they'll be punished. Their families will be punished. As an incentive, they're also being offered citizenship, which is impossible given the 1982 law, which precluded them from citizenship and which makes their recruitment illegal.
Meanwhile, how is Bangladesh affected by all of this? Could it also be drawn into the conflict and its complications? What's the impact on the social and political landscape of Bangladesh?
The impact on Bangladesh at this stage is still fairly marginal, but it is affecting the border areas. The conflict is spilling over. There are refugees, of course, as there are in China and in Thailand. And the war is going very badly for the Myanmar military. So we're seeing a government that's really not in control anymore, which is resorting to desperate measures and indeed crossing international borders to both punish and recruit soldiers to make up for its losses. The desertion rate in the Tatmadaw is very high at the moment, and it is on the back foot militarily. So it's desperate. It's doing whatever it can to try to bolster its ranks.
Now, Professor, fighting in Myanmar's border areas has been quite intense in the past year. Are there any signs that we could see efforts towards ending this conflict, especially with China's role in this?
China's very keen to see an end to the conflict, but unless the Tatmadaw, the Myanmar military, acknowledges that it's not a legitimate government and allows the government of national unity to take over, I don't see any resolution to the conflict. At this stage, the military is probably only in control of about a third of the country, but about 2/3 to 3/4 of townships.
Professor, thank you so much for your insights. That was Damien Kingsbury, who is Emeritus Professor of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at Deakin University. And we have more coverage on the post-coup crisis in Myanmar across CNA platforms. You can head over to our website, cna.asia, to watch this episode of CNA Correspondent, Unwelcome Rohingya Refugees, which tells the story of those caught in the crossfire and are facing waves of displacement.